for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Newland, I've brought this issue up numerous times, and it is concerning that the tribal public safety continues to face significant challenges, to say the least. The Bureau of Indian Affairs Office of Justice Services shoulders the responsibility of administrating public safety and justice programs aimed at funding law enforcement, corrections, and court services to ensure the safety of the tribal communities. However, questions have been raised about the OJS's effectiveness, particularly in combining, I'll get that word out, drug trafficking and addressing the disproportionate rates of violence experienced by the Native Americans and Alaskan Native communities. At a recent Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee hearing, it was revealed that illegal drug cartels are actively targeting Indian country, posing a serious threat to tribal members and public safety. This highlights the critical need for securing our borders, including the southern borders, to prevent such criminal activities from entering vulnerable territories. Additionally, Native Americans and Alaska Natives adults suffer from a high victimization rate, with more than 4 in 5 individuals experiencing some form of violence in their lifetime. This highlights the urgent need for enhancing safety measures within the tribal community. Given these developments, a lot of words for simple questions. How can the Bureau of Indian Affairs effectively address the challenges of the recruiting and retention within law enforcement to ensure that the increased funding leads to significant improvements in the tribal public safety and justice services, especially in the light of the drug cartel targeting the Indian lands?
Thank you, Congressman. I think first, I would like to just note that there's been a long history of criminals who target Indian people in Indian country, whether that's sexual assault or other forms of violence or drug trafficking, often because of the jurisdictional maze that we've built up for law enforcement in Indian country. Makes it harder to enforce the law in Indian country than it is in other places. Depending on who the perpetrator is or the victim, a different law enforcement agency could be responsible for enforcing the law. And this is not a new problem that we're facing. But the challenges you raised are very real, and those are challenges we're working to address. One of the things that makes it difficult for our BIA law enforcement officers serving 34 different tribes is that they're often overtaxed. They're working 6 12-hour shifts alone without backup. They often struggle to find housing in the communities they serve, so they're either paying too much for housing or they have to commute a long distance to work. And these investments, by increasing staffing within the Bureau of Indian Affairs law enforcement, can help our retention just by getting people backup so they don't have to work 72 hours a week on their own.
Well, let me ask you this. What kind of technology is being used on the, are we providing these tribes to use to monitor this activity? Are we supplying them with drones and the technology to help that, or is it just everything's done old-fashioned by cars?
Well, I think in a lot of communities, Congressman, our tribal law enforcement agencies and Bureau of Indian Affairs officers are dealing with equipment that is beat up and older than their counterparts in other agencies. And in a lot of places, their cell phones and their radios might not even work in these remote areas. And so we've got to get our officers better equipment to help address a lot of these challenges.
Well, we've got to address these challenges, and I think the IT approach is certainly one of them. It works well at the border when we use it for information, and I think the tribes need it probably worse than anybody because there's so many miles they're actually trying to cover. With 1 or 2 people, it's unfair for them.
Thank you.
So, but thank you, and thank all the members, speakers for being here today. Thank you. I'll return my time.